it's Anathea, your divine feminine educator. And in this video, I want to talk about pleasure and you creating more pleasure in your life. But the actual thing that I'm starting with is the idea, what do men crave? What do men want? What do men look for in a woman? And often it's said that men just want sex, but you might be surprised what men really crave. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And what men crave is actually a really, really good thing. I want to look at my notes because I don't want to miss a beat here. But when we satisfy that craving that men have in our society about women, women benefit. You benefit as a woman. So I imagine that our men are our gatekeepers, are our benevolent protectors. And they hold space for us to claim our true sensual and sexual divinity. Now, call me crazy, but that is my hope. That is my dream, that men really hold that space for us. And when men do, this world that we live in will change. And so, yeah, what is all this thing, pleasure and what men crave? What does that have to do with all the transformational times that we're going through right now in our world? It's an important element because we are shifting from a patriarchy to a new world that's more based on love and connection instead of power and control. A new world that we have an opportunity to create a new world that is letting go of power over to one power with. And so women becoming more open and receptive and experiencing more pleasure will heal all the ills of our world. And I really believe that strongly. So holding space for us to men holding space for us to claim our true sensual and sexual divinity. It may sound idealistic, but that's my dream. So what do men crave? Men crave a woman that is more open, more receptive, more loving, more nurturing, less drama, less screaming, less nagging, right? But let me talk a little bit more. How are we going to get there? So men as selfish lovers, this is not uncommon. We come from a patriarchal past. Yes, astrologically, patriarchy is now completing and we are stepping into a new era. This new era, as I said, is one of more with power with instead of power over. But in this 6,500-year phase of patriarchy, men's sexuality has been catered to. Pornography is rampant on the internet. What else? I don't even want to go into all the other things, but let's just leave it at that. So how has this way of patriarchy where men's sexuality has been catered to, and women have literally have made money off of catering to men's sexuality, how has that affected your sexuality as a woman? You see, I want to share this with you, and I use my arm always to share this. There is the male body and its sexual energetics, and there's the female body and its sexual energetics. Now, I'm doing this as a teaching point because, yes, there are people that have experienced both. As a matter of fact, me personally, I believe this is my first time in many lifetimes that I'm actually in a female body. So I come into this female body thinking, oh my God, what are women putting up with? Thus my work, right? But let me give you this. The male body with who is the outie, it's a very physical, focus-oriented type of sexuality, okay? The female body, on the other hand, is a different type of sexuality. It is a more subtle, less physical type of sexuality. We haven't accommodated that softer, gentler, less focus-oriented, going for the big O type of sexuality. And this is where a woman's sexuality gets actually awakened. But guess what? She needs an emotionally safe place for that. She needs a skilled lover and also an emotionally safe place for that less physical and more subtle type of sexuality to be birthed, to be held and create a space for it to awaken, you see. Ladies, I know you know what I'm talking about. Okay, let me make sure I don't miss anything. So we've also had double standards. You know, it's okay for men to be promiscuous. It's okay, you know, for men to put another notch on their belt. But for a woman to express her sexuality, we have to show restraint. Now, this can be spoken or unspoken. But our society has set this up that we've learned that if we express our sexuality, that we are called whores, that we're loose, that we're sleazy, right? When you learn how to express your sexuality in a sacred way, and when you get connected to your sexuality, not just from your sex center, but including, and you learn how to express your sexuality from your heart center, it doesn't even have any energetic connected to sleazy or, sleazy or a whore. We just haven't connected those two centers. We have a big disconnect, you know? So the other issue is that, you know, I taught a class, it was a lot of fun, Manifesting More Pleasure. And the biggest thing that came up during that class when I taught it, this was a couple of years ago, was younger women too, dutiful sex. So having sex, but not having sex because you want to, but because it's your duty as the partner. That's a whole other subject, but that is not good for a woman's body. It's not good for your sexual response system. And ladies, we need to stop that. And men don't benefit from that. Men don't benefit from that anyway. Because what men want most is a woman that is receptive to his advances, ultimately. Because what a man wants is your radiance and for you to shine. Because when a woman is radiant, no matter what age, her radiance actually heals a man. So this idea, this separation, this divide that we have between the sexes that has caused so much pain because of the differences of our sexuality. And a woman's sexuality literally being mowed over. That's what's actually happened. But we have co-created this. And that's why it's so important for you as a woman to get connected to your own pleasure potential so that you can share that with a man with love, through good communication, through caring. And when you shift that energy in your own body, you will actually attract a different type of experience and a different type of man. So when we change what's inside us as a woman, we create a whole different reality of what type of guy we attract into our world. I know that. But let's get back to this idea of, you know, this separation, what's causing this separation. You know, this idea of women and the dutiful sex, doing it because you think you're supposed to in relationship, but you're not enjoying it. You're not enjoying the connection. And you're not really fully being there and present and receptive. You just want to get it over with. Let's stop that, ladies. That is not what's going to heal the world. That's not what's going to create a good relationship for you. That's not going to give you what you're longing for. And that's not going to give the man what he's longing for as well. So this great divide between the men and women in the bedroom is this thing that both of them suffer. Both men and women suffer. Because both of us know there is something more. And that something more is different for a man as it is for a woman. Now, I heard this from Deborah Sandal's book, Female Ejaculation in the G-Spot. She's a dear friend of mine that I call her my wise woman. And I read that in her book many, many years ago, and it stuck with me. And so I want to read to you my rendition of that, how I've revised it. And so this idea of something more, there's something missing in the bedroom. I'm going to first read it, what it is for a woman. For a woman, It is a desire to express her soulful and sensual side and even spiritual side of her sexuality, wanting to be touched fully and deeply and slowly, not just her clitoris, but her whole body and her whole being. You see, what we don't realize is that a woman's clitoris is really her whole body. The pleasure potential of a woman, because we are sensual creatures, we were birthed into, our bodies have receptors, and men do too. But there, I just got that confirmation. Men do too. However, that's a whole other subject. Boy, I could go off on tangents. I got to stay focused. Men's penises have been hurt and numbed. And so that's disconnected them from their sexuality. But a woman's sexuality, let me just read it again. It is a desire to express her soulful and sensual and even spiritual side of her sexuality, wanting to be touched fully, deeply, and slowly, not just her clitoris, but her whole body and her whole being. And so it's like as a woman, your clitoris is the epicenter, and your womb is the epicenter of your sensuality. But it's really your yoniverse connecting you to the universe, the yoniverse, and it's through your whole body as you ignite your pleasure potential through your sensuality and through your womb, honoring your clitoris and honoring your whole body and helping your lover to really understand that in a very loving connection. And it's up to us, ladies, to educate them on that. We can't wait for them to do it. We need to take responsibility for our pleasure potential. But when we do, then we create connection. Because let me read the other thing for men, what this something more is. What men are really craving, what they want, what they long for in a woman. And when I heard this years ago, it was when I still had anger towards men. It was like, oh my gosh, my heart melted. It was like they're suffering too, because we aren't open, we aren't receptive. We guard our yoni, we guard our sexuality. So what men crave is a woman who is open, loving, and uninhibited sexually. This is often a painfully unmet need. So when I heard that, I was like, wow. And I hear it over and over again, and I've seen it. I've really seen this. What men want most is to pleasure their woman if they're in a heterosexual relationship. They just don't know how. It's up to you as a woman to teach them, to share that with them. But guess what? Women aren't connected to their sexual needs, let alone connected to their bodies. So men sincerely want us to experience pleasure. They just don't know how. So this is a journey. Now I had a man that was doing some education. I happened to be in contact with him, and he was taking a course in San Francisco and learning about women's clitorises and pleasure and all that good stuff. And he shared with me what he was learning. And one day he came to me and he said, and it was really exciting because he was excited. He was so excited to be able to be in that educational experience and learn what he was learning and how to pleasure women. And he and I were not connected in a relationship, but he was sharing with me the information that he was learning. And it was so beautiful to hear from a man his excitement about what he was learning for the benefit of how women benefit. And so one day he came to me and he said, I want to tell you, the sole purpose of a man is to penetrate a woman in such a way as to awaken her full potential. So that was another thing, the something more that I shared with you earlier. This was another thing that when he said that, it stuck with me. I'm like, wow, okay. So If men can really understand that the sole purpose, and I'm not talking about penetrating just with his male anatomy. Men don't really understand. Women are innies, men are outies, and boy, oh boy, in relationship, men penetrate us with their energy. Men penetrate us with their masculine force. That's why it's so common for women to lose themselves in relationship. It's a penetrating force. So men, I want you to listen to this. When you learn how to penetrate a woman with your heart, how to penetrate a woman with, instead of a sword or with an agenda, but with a wand of light, a magical, mystical healing device. When you learn how to penetrate a woman, yes, through your male anatomy, but from your heart forward through that, slowing down, getting connected to the more sensual aspects of that penetration, being present. What you will do is you will awaken her full potential. That's what we need. We need more men that know how to do that. But guess what? Women, we need to lead the way. We can't wait for them men don't know what they don't know. And women, you don't know what you don't know. But I had another man say, and this was in another workshop that I went to. This is an older man, and it was the Pleasure Society. They were doing pleasure experimentations on women, and they were back in the 60s. This was the Purple People in Lafayette. And one of the older men shared with me, he said, and I thought this was fascinating. I think it is very fascinating. Women, he said to me, women are the source of pleasure. Women are the source of pleasure. Our bodies are the source of pleasure. The unfortunate part of it is that, so women are attractive. He went so far as to say, women are attractive and men are repulsive. Because it's just a matter of energetics. Men are dogs, women are these feline, feminine, sensual creatures. So women are the source of pleasure. But unfortunately, we've been socialized and culturized to be pleasure for men. Now, as we reclaim our bodies and understand our own pleasure potential through our relationship with ourselves, we can take that into the bedroom. And sometimes it's just an energetic, it doesn't even have to be a conversation. It's an energetic that we are bringing into the bedroom, because now we have a better sense of who we are, our own sexual needs, our own self-love that actually radiates out and speaks in body language what we want. We still need the communication skills, yes, but most importantly, we need the connection to our bodies. And we need to bring that into the bedroom. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to know what men crave, if you want to know what men want, if you want to experience more pleasure in the bedroom and in your life and in your relationships, read the article, take my love quiz. There's one other link that I didn't put in here. And it's just go to my website and check out the course, How to Do a Sexual Healing on a Man. And that's anathea.org. How to do a sexual healing on a man is a way to navigate with our sexuality in a whole different way. Sex becomes this, and that can be fun. I call it smushy smushy. But we don't know, what happens is sometimes it ends up just not working out, and then it ends up goal oriented, and then there's pressure to perform. So this other way that I have a course called How to Do a Sexual Healing on Your Man is where you separate out your sexuality and you divide one person into the receiver, the other person into the giver. And you actually go through a 7-step process. I think a 7 or 8-step process where you actually give a healing to the other person and you hold space for the other person's sexuality. Very, very powerful, very healing. See, what is sexual healing? Sexual healing is when your sexuality is being held in love and presence and honor. That's what sexual healing is. We're going to need more sexual healing as we go forward in our new world that we're creating right now, because there's been a lot of sexual wounding. but holding space for someone's sexuality. So that course that I have, and I don't have the link here, possibly not, I may be able to add it later, technology, right? Go to my page, anathea.org, and then go to courses, how to do a sexual healing on a man. It's not pornography. It is, I use a full-size teddy bear, and then I show you the steps to how to do that, because we need to teach them so that then they can do it to us, hold space for our sexuality. Boy, that's another subject. I'll do another live on that one. All right. I hope you enjoyed this live. I hope you enjoyed this teaching about what men crave and how you can benefit when that craving is satisfied. Let's heal the separation between the sexes. And women, let's step into that place of reclaiming our bodies as sacred so that we can shine that radiance and really have both of us benefit, both sexes and any sexes in between. All right, thank you so much for being here today. If you enjoyed this message that I have for you, this teaching that I have for you, please do share it to your timeline. This is an important message, especially as we step forward into this world where there isn't enough pleasure. There's more disconnect, confusion, and chaos. Let's take time to create connection and love, and I can show you how. All right, thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.